What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another video. And as always, people, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, guys, welcome to this week's latest edition of the Weekend Roundup. Got a couple of fights to talk about this weekend. You know what? August in general, there's not, well, definitely not as many fights in August as there was in July, but July was pretty stacked. But yeah, I think there was only this weekend and maybe the 16th of August when Atalmo and Dylan White fight. But yeah, other than that, there are no major events to cover this month other than those two, I believe. So yeah, we did have some action this weekend in Chicago, a Golden Boy card, Oscar Duarte and Kenneth Sims Jr. Good scrap. I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about the undercard as well, Prograis against Jojo Diaz. That was a good scrap as well. And I'm also going to talk about QUEENSBERRY signing up Joshua Buatsi, the potential options for him, and just Frank Warren and QUEENSBERRY as a whole, man, because, yeah, they've really, you know, Frank Warren, I'm going to go into it more, but he is the definition of perseverance. You look at his stable now, you look at where QUEENSBERRY is now compared to where they were 4, 5, 6 years ago, and it's been an incredible turnaround. So, yeah, those are the subjects I'm going to talk about today. And let's start off with this fight right here, man. Oscar Duarte and Kenneth Sims Jr. Battle of 140-pound contenders, man. Good fight. Good fight this was. And it was pretty much an even one going in. There was split opinion as to who would win this. Oscar Duarte only lost once, I believe, and that was against Ryan Garcia. And Kenneth Sims Jr. has lost a couple going into this. So, yeah, it was both guys were in good form. This was a good fight going in. And the winner of this fight was going to get a crack at the WBA light welterweight title, which is held by Gary Antoine Russell Jr. So, yeah, how did this one go then? For me, it was Oscar Duarte won a majority decision. I'll say that. And it was a good scrap. You know, it was a good, clean fight. I'll say that. There wasn't many clinching in this one. And, yeah, majority decision. So one of the judges had it as a draw, and the other two gave it to Oscar Duarte. And, yeah, really, this fight here was, I think, unbelievable. I think both fighters landed the same amount of punches in this fight. I think both fighters landed the same amount of punches. But the thing is that Oscar Duarte's punches definitely had more of an effect. And I think that was what, you know, edged him the fight. I edged it to Oscar Duarte as well. It was a classic boxer-puncher matchup. You know, Oscar Duarte pressing forward, putting the pressure on. Kenneth Sims using lateral movement. I wouldn't say he was running. I thought he was using good movement. And he was, I think his issue was his back was against the ropes for too long at times for me. I think if he stayed in the center of the ring and was able to tee off on Duarte, which he did do a couple of times, then yeah, that may have swayed it in his favor. I think if Kenneth Sims won the final round on one of the judges' scorecards, it would have been a draw. So yeah, for me, I just think that Oscar Duarte, even though they were both landed the same amount of punches, Oscar Duarte's definitely had more of an effect. And he wobbled Kenneth Sims Jr. a couple of times. And the problem for Kenneth Sims was that he weren't able to stop Duarte in his tracks. He wasn't really, do you know what I mean? And he didn't really earn his respect. And maybe looking at it from a judge's perspective, seeing, you know, the guy pressing forward, attacking, landing his fair share of punches as well. I think the power shots as well that Oscar Duarte landed was so much more than Kenneth Sims Jr., who, like I said, they landed the same amount, but the power punches for Duarte definitely overwhelmed Kenneth Sims Jr., who obviously landed his more fair share of jabs. But I think that the effect of the punches may have had an impact on the judge's decision. And also the fact that Kenneth Sims Jr., for me, had his back on the ropes for too long. I think that was an issue, man. I mean, when he was on the ropes, his back was on there for too long. He was waiting to counter, I think, just looking for those countering opportunities. But while he's doing that, Duarte's pressing forward and, you know, looking at it from the outside, from a judge's perspective, then they're probably going to give it to him. I mean, unless you're Floyd Mayweather, who can do that sort of thing, like not many. If your punches are not having an effect, then yeah, the judge is likely going to see it the other way. But I'm saying that, I mean, this was a majority decision. It wasn't like Duarte won a unanimous decision. Like one of the judges had this a draw. So there was a judge that definitely did score for Kenneth Sims Jr. in those moments. So yeah, ultimately it was a good fight. Let's see what the ring have to say about it here. I'm going to go through it as well. Oscar Duarte made sure that the dream didn't have the ending Kenneth Sims was seeking. Obviously, I didn't mention earlier, but Kenneth Sims Jr. fighting in his hometown in Chicago. So, yeah, no hometown decision here. There was a large Mexican crowd in there as well. I believe that Chicago has a high Latino population. But yeah, Kenneth Sims Jr. technically was the home fighter. But as it says here, Duarte's pressure and power punching were enough to earn him a majority decision. Yeah, one of the judges had it a draw. The other judge had it 116, 112, and the other had it 115, 113. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I can understand that. And just looking this here, the stats back. So I said this earlier. CompuBox had both fighters landing 229 punches. Both fighters landed the same amount of punches. But the issue here was that Duarte landed 172 compared to 110 for Sims. And I think that was just what was the difference, really. They looked like they had more of an effect, and Sims was the more efficient. But yeah, I just think that with Duarte pressing the action, having Sims on the ropes, and landing a lot more power shots, it ultimately edged it in his favor. That's how I saw it, and that's how the judges, I guess, ultimately saw it as well. So yeah, Duarte with the win. He calling out all the champions in this post-fight interview. He called out all the champions for a fight, but he is in line to face Gary Antoine Russell Jr. for that WBA light welterweight title. So yeah, I think that Oscar Duarte in this division is a welcome addition. He looked like a welterweight in there. So he is at 140, but very muscular build, Oscar Duarte, and very strong. So I just think that, yeah, with him being in this division, there's going to be a lot of fighters in there that there'll be some good fights. I mean, you've got Teofimo Lopez in there. You've got Gary Antoine Russell Jr. in there. You've also got Richardson Hitchens in there. So, yeah, I mean, you've got Sabriel Matias in there. That would be a great fight. So there are some very good fights in there. And I mean, could you even run this one back? Could you run this one back? I know that Kenneth Sims Jr. wants a rematch. But yeah, let's carry on reading here. It was a battle of Sims' clean punching and ability to catch and counter punch against Duarte's pressure. Yep, I mentioned that. Sims took control in the opening round, but Duarte asserted himself in the second and third rounds as he landed big power shots. The rest of the fight turned into a tactical brawl. So yeah, had Sims won the final round, it would have been scored for a draw. Sims called for a rematch, but Sims thought he won. I'm not surprised he thinks he won. But yeah, for me, I just think that, ultimately what let Sims down, and maybe he would correct it if they ever did have a rematch, was that he was just on the ropes for too long. I think he was just laying on the ropes for too long at times, searching for that counter punch and that counter shot when the opportunity rose. But yeah, it just didn't really present itself. Well, it did. That's a lie, actually. It did present itself at times, but I think he was just holding out for too long. And I think that's what ultimately swayed this fight for Oscar Duarte. So how does he get on against the likes of Gary Anton Russell Jr. and Sabriel Matias and Teofimo Lopez? I don't know. I think Matias would be a good scrap. I'd like to see that. Gary Anton Russell Jr., who obviously is the WBA champion, I would pick him to beat Oscar Duarte. I would. He's not very active as of now, but I think that he would beat Oscar Duarte if they did fight. But it will be a good one. I don't think anyone's got an easy night in there with Oscar Duarte. He comes to fight very strong. But for me, yeah, there's no actual. I mean, I don't think he's not of the elite for me. I don't see him beating the likes of a Tio or those guys, but I think he would make an entertaining fight against those guys, and I would definitely watch it. But yeah, even this fight here with Kenneth Sims Jr., there were times. I mean, if Kenneth Sims could have won Oscar Duarte's respect, he could have won this fight for sure, but he just wasn't able to. He hasn't got many knockouts in his resume, Kenneth Sims. And, going up against some of these other guys at 140 pounds, they will be able to get Oscar Duarte's respect. So we saw what Ryan Garcia did to Oscar Duarte when they fought. How is Oscar Duarte? Will he have a plan B when things are not going his way? Is he just going to continue to go forward? What would be, if he does get hurt and rocked, how would he handle it? I mean, we saw against Ryan Garcia, he wasn't able to, but how would he What's the plan B? Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't really. I know he didn't probably might have thought he didn't need one in this fight here, but yeah, going up against those guys, I think you'll need one. And yeah, I didn't see enough for me to think that he would overcome them. But you never know, man. This is boxing, and Duarte is good. He's on a good run of form at the moment, and yeah, that will make for an entertaining fight. So yeah, just my thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts about it if you watched it. Oscar Duarte and Kenneth Sims Jr. Good scrap, clean scrap as well. It was one of those. There wasn't many clinching. It was a good scrap throughout, entertaining. And I think the crowd are very entertained as well in this one, man. I mean, you had chants for USA, you had chants for Mexico. It was like a nice, friendly natured back and forth in the crowd there, it seemed. And it was entertaining. So, yeah, this was a good scrap. Definitely one worth watching if you haven't seen. Yeah, Oscar Duarte winning the majority decision. I also had Duarte edging it here, but it really was a classic boxer versus puncher matchup. It was really what you liked, really. But normally I like what the boxer does, but I think in this sense where Duarte landed so many more power punches and he had success when Kenneth Sims Jr. was on the ropes, which appeared to be a bit more often than not, that's what edged him the fight for me. You know, that's what gave Oscar Duarte the win. And yeah, no complaints on my end. So yeah, good scrap. If we go to the undercard here, let's go to the undercard. Let me stop sharing. Another good scrap. Another good scrap here between two guys that, let's be honest, are completely past their best, like totally past their sell-by date. Regis Prograis and Jojo Diaz. Both of them are nowhere near what they were. I think this fight here was added as an late addition to this one. This one was kind of added late to the card, but it was a good scrap. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, both of them are way past their best. Jojo Diaz, success in the amateurs, started out as a featherweight. Prograis, pretty much a career like welterweight. This fight here took place at a catch weight of 142. So technically it's welterweight, even though it's only just above the light welterweight limit. Technically, this fight took place at welterweight. So both of them, I mean, I'm sure Prograis retired, but he's came back, or he was considering retirement at least to go into bare knuckle boxing. But yeah, here he is. He's still fighting. So this was a good fight. And one that was entertaining as well. You can see in that image there, Diaz had a cut over his left eye. That was from a clash of heads in the 4th round. The doctor did consider stopping it in the 6th, I believe, but he probably didn't because he saw that Diaz had success in pretty much every round in terms of wobbling Prograis. Now, there was no doubt for me who won the fight. I think Regis Prograis definitely won, but nearly every round, like he got caught and he was wobbled. At the end of the 1st round, Prograis literally was on ice skating. He was literally, legs did a dance, got caught with some good shots. And that was giving Jojo Diaz a lot of encouragement, man, but ultimately just wasn't able to have enough of those moments to win the fight for me. But he did have his moments. And it did happen in a lot of the rounds where he would catch Prograis and Prograis would wobble. You know, he would literally, legs would do a dance. It was quite, it was funny to watch, really. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But the jab, I think, won for Prograis in this fight, man. I mean, at times he did display some very good boxing skills, which we know he's got. Even at the age of 36, like I said, he's well past it. But yeah, he was able to win this from the jab, I think. And yeah, the cut was an accidental clash of heads. But I think Prograis ultimately definitely did win it. But a good fight. The crowd enjoyed it. And yeah, Prograis 36, Jojo Diaz 32. Both of these guys, I'd love to see them call it a day after this. I mean, if you're being honest, neither of these two are going to create any more waves in the light welterweight or the welterweight division. So you'd like to see them just end it here. You know, I think both fighters' stock didn't take a hit with this one. So now would be a good time to call it a day. You had a good scrap. Will Jojo Diaz want to go out on a defeat, mate? I don't know. He's lost quite a few now. I think he's lost 8 or 9 or so fights. So yeah, I mean, how many more do you really want? Let's see what this article has to say about it. So let's see here. Crossroads fight between two former world champions went above and beyond expectations. Yeah, there was no real expectations going into this. Like I said, I think that this was added late. The scorecards, Mike Fitzgerald's scorecard was the widest and the most controversial of the two. Yeah, definitely this was not a 98-92 fight. It was definitely more in line with the 96-94. 98-92 is crazy. And I don't think you're giving Jojo Diaz nearly enough credit for what he did in that. But yeah, Prograis outlanded Diaz. So Diaz had a clear advantage with the power shots landed. And like I said, particularly in that first round where Prograis' legs did a dance. And he was winning that fight all the way up until then. And then the legs did a dance. And then Diaz was literally after Prograis. But unfortunately for him, he just wasn't able to capitalize and put him down. And yeah, let's see here. Prograis said that he would be open for a rematch if a title was on the line. I mean, come on, man. A title. What title are you going to have? What title are you talking about? I don't know. Maybe he's talking about one of he must be talking about one of the smaller belts, but really, I mean, it's not. I don't know, man. The right amount of money. I don't know. Really, they should just call it a day for this, man. I mean, there's no reason. Like, nobody was calling for this, for one. Like we said, like this article said earlier, this fight here went above and beyond expectations because nobody had any expectations going into it. So although it was a good scrap, like nobody's really, I mean, is anyone really going to call for a rematch here? Let's just enjoy the fight that they had and then just call it a day. I don't think there's any reason, like, no, it's not gonna put them anywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like, the winner of this fight is not going to be elevated to, no one's going to be contending for a world title from this at this stage. Both of them are former world champions. You give them that respect. But yeah, it just doesn't make, I don't know. Let's carry on reading anyway. So yeah, at range, Prograis had the upper hand with his jab, like I said, straight left hand, clear hand speed. He did look good at times, Prograis, against Diaz. But when Diaz closed the gap, yeah, he definitely connected a lot. And yeah, the clash of heads took place in the fourth round. But yeah, Prograis' speed and reach advantage helped him pull ahead. It was a good scrap. But ultimately here, the last line here, Prograis' cleaner work at range was enough to earn him his first win since June 2023. However, Diaz was left with nothing to hang his head over. Absolutely correct. Like I said here, I think both guys here came out with their head held high. Prograis got his first win in 2 years, and Jojo Diaz left, with a lot of credit. So just leave it at that. You don't need to fight again. There's definitely no reason for you to go in there and have a title shot or fight this for a title. I mean, it's not that sort of party, bro. Just end it here. That's how I see it. Unless Jojo Diaz wants a last fight, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, neither of these two are going to make any waves in the divisions that they're in right now. They're both well past their best. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to see them two go in at it again for a title or anything like that. That doesn't make sense to me. But let me know what you guys think, man. This fight, yeah, it really did go above and beyond expectations. That's because there was no expectations going into it. But ultimately, a good fight and a good card. Good card, man. Both fights, the chief support, which was this one, and the main event were pretty good. So Chicago got a good night's worth of boxing put on by Golden Boy. I think De La Hoya will be happy overall with the card. And yeah, let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below, guys. Yeah, very good card here with these two fights. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on to the next topic here. I was watching this interview earlier. Joshua Buatsi, it was confirmed this week, has signed with Queensberry Promotions. His contract with Boxer ran out, whether it was this year or last year. I think the last fight he had with Boxer, that was his last one. And Joshua Buatsi, now a Queensberry Promotions fighter. So, yeah, there was rumors that this was going to happen. And it was confirmed last week that Buatsi signed for Queensberry. So, yeah, I was just watching this interview here on Box Nation. Josh Buatsi basically giving his first reaction to signing with Frank Warren. And there, the last bit, slams Tunde Ajayi, however you want to pronounce it. But yeah, it was a good interview. Worth watching, I'd say. Buatsi seemed very relaxed, seemed very content. He was in a very good fight against Callum Smith last time out, which he didn't win, but very entertaining fight. And that's the power of these domestic fights, man. We've been calling for them for so long. And I'm going to talk about another one here shortly. But yeah, that was a very good fight between Buatsi and Callum Smith. And Buatsi now signs for Queensberry. So He's going to be returning in October. There's quite a few options out there. I know that Queensberry also signed Bradley Rea to a promotional deal as well, who is also a light heavyweight. I don't think they'll be fighting each other, but there are options out there. I mean, Buatsi, it will be a good domestic fight, I'm hearing. So who will it be? Could it be a Willie Hutchinson rematch, which was a good fight? You know, he's with Frank Warren. Could it be Zach Parker? He's with Frank Warren. Could it be Lyndon Arthur? You know, we'll see. I mean, the talk here, a lot of the talk on this interview was to do with Anthony Yard and Tunde Ajayi. But, you know, obviously Anthony Yard has got other things to worry about right now. He's going to be fighting David Benavidez later on in the year anyway. So whatever happens, if those two do fight, that's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, both of them are on their own path at the moment. But the Anthony Yard and Joshua Buatsi fight has just been... I just have to sigh, man. I mean, we've been calling for this fight for 5-6 years. Must be something like that, man. We've been calling for this fight for so long. And it's just very frustrating that, you know, we don't get to see these fights. But thankfully, we are starting to see a few of the fights now. But this one here has evaded us for quite a while. And it's always weird that the fights that really make sense, the fights that, you know, like you just really want to see, just don't seem to happen. But Buatsi said in this interview here that, you know, that it is closer now than ever. Obviously, both of them are with Queensberry. It'll be very, very easy to make. So let's see. I mean, Anthony Yard and his team are not going to be thinking about Buatsi right now. And Buatsi is going to be fighting in October. But he was already talking about possibilities of fighting Yard. They just can't get away from hearing those questions, particularly Buatsi. Like, he's always asked about the Anthony Yard fight. And he seems up for it, you know. He seems up for it. But, yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, you look at it, Joshua Buatsi from South London. He's born in Ghana, but from South London, lived in South London. And Anthony Yard from Hackney. So, you know, East London versus South London at the O2. It's just made sense for years. You know, they've been on a collision course for years, but it's just never got round to happening, you know. I would have loved to have seen, it just makes sense. I'd love to see Anthony Yard and Joshua Buatsi. And I reckon that Frank Warren he'll likely make this one happen. You know, I'm sure he will. So we'll see who Joshua Buatsi goes in there with in October. I just listed out the options there earlier. So that'll be interesting. And just a note on Frank Warren as well, man. Also signed Tony Yoka, who is in the running to face Anthony Joshua. You got to give it to Frank Warren, man. He is the definition of perseverance, for real. I mean, you look at where Queensberry were during Matchroom heydays, like 2015, 16, 17, 18. You know, they were really well behind Matchroom in terms of popularity and the sort of shows that they were putting out and the stable of fighters and so on. But Frank Warren persevered, and now there's no doubt who is the better promotional outfit right now in terms of Queensberry and Matchroom. It's Queensberry. You know, Queensberry have got a huge stable of fighters. They're putting on the bigger shows. Matchroom put out a card. No, it wasn't a card. It was their schedule. They put out a schedule of fights that they got from now until towards the end of the year. And, you know, like some of the fights on there, like Dave Allen was returning. People were really kind of saying that this looked more like a fight card rather than a boxing schedule. And that's testament to really the sort of cards that Matchroom used to put on back in the days and the cards that we've been experiencing as fight fans. But yeah, maybe we're being a bit too greedy as boxing fans, you could say. But yeah, it just goes to show, man, Matchroom are nowhere near Queensberry right now in terms of talent, roster, and stable. They're nowhere near them. And that would have been a crazy thing to say back in the day, you know. But yeah, things change, and you got to give that to Frank Warren for his perseverance. He's been in this game for so long. And yeah, signing the likes of Joshua Buatsi, a huge coup, who obviously used to be with Matchroom back in the day. Then he went to Boxer, and now he's with Queensberry. And there was an interesting quote in this interview here where the interviewer basically said to Buatsi that Frank Warren was asked years back if he could take any one of Matchroom's fighters, who would it be? And he said it was Joshua Buatsi. And that was at a time when Queensberry and Matchroom weren't on so much friendly terms as they are now. So, yeah, the light heavyweight division is a very good division. There are a lot of options out there. Going to Queensberry is not going to hurt Joshua Buatsi whatsoever. You wonder what happens with Ben Whitaker, who's with Boxer right now. You know, what's going to be, what is the situation with Boxer? Like, we know that their broadcast deal with Sky has run out. A lot of their fighters have been openly, you know, saying that they don't know where they stand. They haven't had any communication with Boxer. Boxer still got some good fighters on that stable. They've got Billam Smith. They got the likes of what's the heavyweight? What's the heavyweight that lost to Fabio Wardley? Fraser Clark. They got him on there. Ben Whitaker on there. Caroline Dubois. So where are those fighters going to go? You know, this could be a clean sweep for Queensberry and Matchroom. They can sweep up those guys for sure. You can see Ben Whitaker probably going with Matchroom, although that's not confirmed yet. But yeah, don't know what's going to happen with Boxer and where they are. Yeah, is this the fall of Ben Shalom? Maybe I'll do a separate video on that actually, where I'll talk about that in more detail. But yeah, Joshua Buatsi signing with Queensberry. Good interview here on Box Nation. Worth a watch if you guys haven't already. Yeah, that's pretty much my summary of the weekend roundup, guys. I mean, I just wanted to speak about, like I said, there's not a lot of cards this month, but there's obviously is the one in a couple of weeks with Dylan White and Moses Atama. But yeah, compared to July, definitely nowhere near as much key shows anyway. So just my thoughts on this weekend's action, guys, and thought I'd just bring you to this Joshua Buatsi interview if you haven't seen it already. If you've made it this far in the video, guys, and you haven't clicked the like button, please click that like button, man. It means a lot. And while it might not mean anything to you guys, it definitely helps these sort of videos get more views, puts it out there in the algorithm, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more subscribers here. So shout out to you guys that are here already, and anybody that is new, please click the like button, share the video if you want, and look out for more of these videos here. The weekend roundup coming every week, every Sunday. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below, and I'll catch you on the next video.